Okay, so today's shir, we're going to be focusing on something which has to do with Purim and has to do with the time that we find ourselves right now. Everybody's thinking right now about what's going on with Klal Yisrael and the threat from Iran. Probably more correct to say the threat to Iran, not from Iran. And it's time to think back about what we did with the previous threat that had happened in Iran thousands of years ago, the time of Purim. Chazal tell us that the Eibusha told Haman and Russia, Shaita Sheba'ilam, you're an idiot. Ani amarti lashmidam kivyacha v'lo yachelti. I wanted to destroy them, and I was never able to. As it says in the pasuk, Vayomer lashmidam, Hashem wanted to destroy the Jewish people. Lulei Moshe bechiroi amad b'peretz lefanav lahashav chamasei mehashchas. Hashem wanted to destroy the Jewish people. In this week's parsha, Moshe, Parshas Kisisa, is standing and saying, no, I'm going to hold back Hashem's anger, and he will not destroy the Jewish people. I was not successful. Va'ata amarta lahashmad lani glab, and you think you could do it? Chayecha, I swear to you, roishcha yusr b'makam roisham. Your head will be removed, not their head. Heim lahatzala, they'll be saved. Va'ata l'tliya, and you'll be hung. Hashem told Moshe in this week's parsha, Va'ata hanicha li va'achalim, I'm going to destroy them, and Moshe mixes in and says no. So Hashem tells Haman, you can forget about it. I was not successful. So let's look. So that's first we should know there's nothing to worry about. But let's look at what happened many, many years ago, the first original Iran threat in Shushan Habira. What happened then when the president and prime minister of Iran, Mr. Haman, came with a decree, Lahashmid Lari Galabid. So what we would do if we would do in Shushan, I mean, if we have a person like Mordechai that's a minister in the inner circle in the Pentagon, in the Senate, I don't know where he was, the Vishar HaMelech, we would ask him to arrange a meeting with the president, with the king, and convince him. And we have inside connections these days with Iran. Besides, Achos Yeshlan B'Veis HaMelech, we have Mordechai has a sister, has a relative, a sister of Klal Yisrael, Esther. Maybe we have rich people that have been in the economy, they've assisted, and they could have influence. So the Medrash, that's not what happened. Bishol shenechtemu oisane igros v'nitnu biad Haman, when the letters were sealed, given in the hands of Haman, vayovei sameach hu v'chol bnei chaburasei. Haman with his entire group came out of this meeting, successful meeting, and they see Mordechai in front of them. Mordechai sees three kids coming from school. Haman is following. Haman and his Chabura is following to see what Mordechai is going to do, and Mordechai is following the kids. So Mordechai comes to one of the kids and tells him, P'sokli p'sukach, tell me what you learned today in school. Well, the Lashon is they came out of school, Yotzim Beis Ramna were coming out of school, and he said, Imnu p'sukeichem, according to another Lashon. So the first kid said, Al tirmi pachat pisoim, Yishayis Yishoim Kisavi, Yapaskim Mishli, have nothing what to be worried or fear, and sudden destruction. The second child said, Ani karisa yom, I went to school, uvezeh pasuk amadtim beis hasefer, and I stopped in school. This is the last pasuk we learned in school. And he said, Utzuei, another pasuk in Yeshaya, kapitel ches, Utzuei tzavesufar, they can come up with ideas, it'll be a null, dabra davar, whatever they talk, lo yokim, will not happen, ki imanu kel Hashem is with us. And then the third child said another pasuk from Yeshaya, further on Yeshaya, kapitel memvav, Vadzikna, this is the pasuk he learned. Vadzikna nihu vatseva niezbel. Hashem says, old age, becoming elderly things will not affect you. Ani esbel, I can handle it. Ani asisi, I made everything. Ani esbel va'amalit, I can save you from all of these things. Mordechai heard this, and he was so happy. So the first thing Mordechai meets a child, he says, P'sokli p'sukach, tell me your pasuk. The pasuk medvaz du lepst. Not just the pasuk that you learned in school. Children are leaving school. It's not what's happening in school. It comes out of school. And the child says, I live with the pasuk. I'll teach them we have nothing to be scared. But it's not a thing that happened with one particular child. No, every child. The first child, the second child, the third child, the chazaka. Every single child comes and says they were just met incidentally. No previous preparations. They didn't plan this. The psukim they're going to say. They didn't know that Mordechai is going to ask them. They'll prepare. The Nakud of all our psukim have nothing to be scared of anything against Yidden and Yiddishkeit, and Mordechai hears this, he knows this is what the situation is. But first we'll talk about why 3 psukim, what's the meaning of the 3 psukim. One pshat is there's 3 times Amalek in history. The first time Amalek in Parshas B'Shalach, who came suddenly, Al-Tirim Pachad Pisoim suddenly. Utsu Eitzav Esufers, Amalek came later dressed up like Canaanim in further on the Chumash. So Utsu Eitzav, they came with a council with an idea, and we annulled their idea. And the third time is Haman, in the time of the story of Achashverosh, is about Zikna. Haman said, Hashem in the past saved the Jewish people, now Kvar Uzakin, and that's already destroyed the Beis HaMikdash, the Eibush was already old, and 3 psukim. Another pshat, 3 psukim is, all in the story of Haman. If we know there's a Haman HaGogi from the descendant of Amalek that hates the Jewish people, we're already scared. Pachat Pisaim. Who knows what could happen? Before, it's only Machsheves Haman, when Haman is thinking. Later is, not only I'm not scared of something that will happen, Haman is already talking, Dabru Davar, he's very discussing, he's meeting, there's discussions, negotiations, how to deal with the Jewish problem. And then, I have nothing to be worried about, Dabru Davar. Now, when Melech Tipesh Achashverosh is accepting, Nechtemu Igles, the letters are sealed, now comes, Vani Ez, I will save you. So, 3 different situations, about three scenarios. But Be'emes, why did Mordechai accept this message from the children? Because we know in Sfarim it says, based in the Gemara Chazal, that when children tell you a pasuk, it's sort of a nevuah, ke'ein nevuah, nevuah ktana. But why is it negayah to know every single detail of the story over here? It seems like there was a deeper message that each one is telling him another message that the previous one didn't tell him. And the order is also interesting, because the order in Tanakh, first comes Sefer Yeshaya, Utsu Eitza, and Vadzikna. Al-Tira, which is the first pasuk, it says Mishlei. Now, Yeshaya comes before Mishlei. He's not going backwards either, because backwards then they should have said the pasuk of Adzikna before the pasuk of Utzuetz. Adzikna is later in Yeshaya. If you look carefully, also the first child it says, "Tell me your pasuk." The second child says, "Oh, this is the pasuk that I heard today in school, and I got up in school." So the first child only learned one pasuk that day in school. The other child learned a bunch of pasuk. It's the last pasuk he learned. And Mordechai says, I'm so happy they gave me good news. They give you nevuah. It's a nevuah over here. And if Mordechai is happy, what happens? He comes out, he starts saying, the Medrash says, he starts saying, Keli, lama zaftani, Hashem, why did you abandon me? He's happy because Hashem, you abandoned me. And then he puts on sak ve'efa and he's crying and he tells Esther what you have to do now. It's a nevuah, it's not a nevuah. You trust us or you don't trust us? So we have to look at the etzem inyan of what was going on over here. First of all, B'chlal, we know when Yidden have a tzara, they go to Nevi'im. They go to Mekaymas HaKdoshim. Mordechai found a new approach. Mordechai is the manig of Klal Yisrael. He wants to know what Hashem's plan is. He goes to a cheder. Goes to a cheder and asks children, and that's it decides what the program will be for the Jewish people. Didn't he get a minion to go daven? No. I heard the news from the 3 kids, got the Yiddish Kinderlich together, and learned with them Torah. B'layla hu nadash nasa melech. The Jewish children were learning with Mordechai. Hashem heard the Jewish children's tears. And Hashem said he ripped all those letters. B'layla hu nadash nasa melech. Mordechai made a new approach. We have to navgain to the kinder. But what was the story here? The deeper story over here. So the Megillah says the story was that everybody is bowing down to Haman, and Mordechai is not bowing down. Vayiv be'einav l'shloich yad b'Mordechai levadei. Haman said, "No, I'm not going to fight just against Mordechai. Ki yigidu lo yas am Mordechai." Haman is thinking about, why is Mordechai not bowing down? Is it because he's a special leader? No, I'm Mordechai. It has to do with the Jewish people. It's a tchunas hanefesh that even though this is a decree of the king, and it's dangerous, a Yid denies anything which is avodah zarah. So Haman sees this is not Mordechai as a prat, it's Am Mordechai. This was a Yid, it's a pintel Yid. So I'm not going to just fight by Mordechai levadoi. There's something which Nar, Vadzak, and Tav, and Nasha, men, women, children, they all have the same problem. They all have the problem of the pintel Yid, and they don't accept anything which is any form of avodah zarah. What's the reason such a gzeira happened? Chazal tells us, because in the time of Nebuchadnezzar, they bowed down to Tzelem. It was a Tzelem, it was an image of the king, it was a fake, it was real, they didn't even mean it. And that's what brought the destruction. Mordechai knows what happened, that there was a form of avodah zarah in the past. That's the sibba of the gzeira, or because they went to Achashverosh's party, which also proves the same idea they don't really have an Emunah and Hashem. They enjoyed Achashverosh's party. They didn't think that they have to connect with Hashem. So even if it's external, that means they felt in the pintel Yid over here. The pintel Yid doesn't allow a person to get anywhere close to Tumas avodah zarah, even if it's not for real. So Mordechai knows what I need to do now is to reawaken the Pintalid, make sure that everybody stays in the state of Mesiras Nefesh. So now I go to a school and I see where's the pulse of the nation, and I see when they come out of school and these kids have true Emunah and Bitachon. Okay, I know I can be happy. We can get to the Pintalid. Now I'm going to get to the Pintalid. I'm going to Sak ve'efer, Zaka G'doyle Mora, get them all together. Tzumu Alai, 22,000 kids learn with them Torah. The children are now saying 3 psukim. And 3 psukim, how you educate kids. The first child is a younger child. We're going in order. They're going to age. He went to classes. Pre-1A, kindergarten, first grade, second grade, third grade. The first kid is saying, there's a pachad. There's a fear. Al tira. Don't be scared. Why? It doesn't say in the pasuk why. A Yiddish kid, when he grows up, his mother trains him from his milk. You have nothing to be scared. I can't explain to him yet. He's too young to understand. But he has nothing to be scared. Mipachas pisim u'mishoyis yishom kisavei. There's a tzara happening. I have nothing to be scared. There was no such thing as fear. The second child knows that there's not a tzara, there's an eitzah, a davar, there's discussion. No, you have nothing to be worried about that either. And I can explain to you also, ki imanu keil. The third child is not talking about a tzara, not a tzara that we have, not a tzara that might happen. It's talking about natural things. There's a world. People get old. People age. Yidna na around the teva. Anihu, ani esbel, ani esisi, ani esbel, ani esa. Mitzad the Emunah and the Eibishter, a Yid who is a Maimon, he doesn't have to have any explanation. Everything, kolmad of the Rachman Lotav of it is a natural feeling by a Yid. No explanation. This is how we educate Yiddish kinder. A high level of Emunah has no scared. I know for a fact, as utzu etzav esuva davar davar leyakim, nothing will ever happen. Ki imanu keil. I know the Eibush is with us. A much higher level is that even Teva has no control. So the first kid, so that's the only thing that he learned. He only learned 1 pasuk. He doesn't understand anything else. He's a little kid. The second kid says, I learned, ani karisi, I learned today, I went to school, I understand, this is the last pasuk I learned today, I know, utkimanu kel. The third kid is even more advanced, and he knows, and they know this not in school, they know this when they come from school, this is the pintali that every has, I know that nothing, teva, is fully in the hands of Eden. So Mordechai is happy with the good news. The good news is that the pintali is stark, that's the good news. It doesn't say he was happy with the nevuah. Haman heard this, and what did Haman say? The problem is the kids. There's a future over here. I'm going to start off with kids. And that's the kimu v'kiblu ha'Yehudim by Purim was the kiblu ma'sheichel b'matan Torah. Matan Torah wasn't because of the kids, and Purim was because of the kids. Matan Torah was b'koyach. They were magdim nasal and ishma. They were makabel the Torah be'emes and Purim. Because Matan Torah, the kids are the guarantors. Purim was the kids were actually acting as guarantors. So when we want to know where the pulse of the Jewish people is, we have to find a kid from kindweis as a little kid, and know that's the way it is. As the Baal Shem Tov's father told him, as a little kid, you have nothing to be scared, only from the Eibishter himself. And once this becomes psukach, they understand this pasuk, then everything goes straight, everything goes smooth. We have nothing but to worry. Our kids are intact. And we know Al Tira, Utsu Eitza, Ki Imanu Keil, and Mitzvah Shem will have the Gula, Mitzvah Shlem, we'll see the Mapala of the Tzorah. We already saw the Mapala of the Tzorah, Yehudim will see the continuous Mapala by Yom Mehem Bizman Hazeh.